Hello, everybody. I'm Divina de Campo, and I'm really, really excited to have been asked by Bermondsey Welcomes Refugees to speak to Ammar.
Hi there.
Hello, Ammar.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me here.
Uh, I'm really genuinely intrigued, excited, interested, curious to hear about you and your story. I've read about it already, and it really is quite um, incredible. So let's start. Let me just be a little bit Julie Andrews right now. Let's start at the very beginning because it's a very good place to start.
Oh,
Um, so, what brought you to the UK? What was your reasons for coming to the UK? How did you get here and why?
well, I guess the main reason, um, it's essentially accumulation of a lot of reasons, basically, that have been built all over the years. It started off with, obviously, the war. Um, it was dangerous back home in Syria. Wasn't able to live a very regular life even. Then it really escalated really quickly. Every year it'll escalate to something like I would have never even seen, not even in movies, to a point where you had to make a move. You had to put yourself in, which was the really silly thing. Like you have to put yourself in danger in order to be safe again. Like that's just the concept of that. That was really tricky. And plus, that goes along with, let's say, achieving good career path in Europe as well. But the main reason was obviously the war and the military service, because obviously if I had stayed at home, I'd be wanted and I'd be carrying a gun, fighting my own people, which obviously no one really wants. And so that's the reason. That's why I'm here.
And the journey itself was not an easy one, was it? I mean, you didn't just sort of jump on a Flybe aeroplane and then turn up
Oh
in the
yeah,
UK, did you?
yeah. Did not get a visa or something like that. Did not book a flight or any of that.
So talk
Yeah.
me through some of that because it really is an incredible feat of human ingenuity, actually, the fact that you made it here. So talk me through some of that because like I'm astounded at how
Thank you.
your
Thank you very much.
your fortitude, you
I
know.
mean, I am. I still am. I mean, you can't really process it. You can never. Well, what happened was, well, my mom was the one who's really pushing me really hard to get out of the UK, to get out of Syria, and she believed that there's something in me that I could bring out in Europe as well, and people would appreciate. And that was the main reason. So that in itself, I think that was her acceptance to the idea of me leaving. Because obviously a mom, a son, it's just the connection is there, the relationship. It's really hard for her to just push me away for many years and we'll never know when, like not knowing if I'm going to see her again or not, which in this case I haven't yet. But yes, then she said, like, I'd rather have you away from me knowing that you're safe rather than close and knowing that you might be in danger,
Mm.
which is very likely to be in danger. And so that's what happened. My dad drove me to Lebanon, to Beirut, and then from Beirut legally, and then from Beirut I booked a flight to Turkey. That was the only legit flight I booked because you at that time you can easily get to Turkey. Once I got to Turkey, that's when I started my illegal journey, and that's where the smugglers. You want me to talk about it right now?
If you're happy to, yeah. If that's
Absolutely,
something that
yes.
you
And then
want
I
to talk
started I
about.
started looking for smugglers to get on the boat. So someone who could get me on a boat that can get me from Turkey to Greece, basically, and no drivers, nothing, none of that stuff. So it'll be a rubber boat basically, and you have to drive it. One of the passengers should have to drive it, and and yeah, that'll be it. And obviously, it's very dangerous. I'm not gonna get really detailed in there because there's like many stories of it. But yeah, you just get in a boat. You kind of surrender to the sea, I guess, to the weather, which you have no control of. That in itself was, I think that was the line. That was the line for me. It was no turning back. Like, that's the sea. There's no going back. There's only forward. If you get forward, if you get to the island, there will be sun in there. And it took me about 2 hours and a half to get to the island, to Mytilene or Lesbos Island. Got two names. And once I got there, I just started walking, and then I went to the border, to the Greek border. But that's the funny thing now. Like, I realized the day when I arrived to Greece, it was the same day where when Germany and Greece had an agreement to not let anyone pass anymore. It was literally the same day. And the numbers obviously were started building up over there on the border. Crazy amount of people, about 15,000 people were there from different nationalities, mostly Syrians though, sleeping in tents and camping around and stuff. Literally, like, the fence will be right behind you, tanks, guns. It's the border basically. And yeah, it was a shock for me. I did not know what to do. I felt I was being paralyzed. Just the whole atmosphere, just the noises in the background, people fighting, like kids hungry, and then people fighting, and then people want tents. It was raining tiny bit. It's the whole thing. Like, it's like a freaking movie in my head. It's a whole scene. Then obviously when I got there, I was like, I can't do anything about it right now. But the borders closed. There's no one is moving. It's definite. You could see that. There's nothing, no signs of hope. So I found a tent, slept in it. I stayed there for about a week till I got an idea in my head. Like, you get a clear vision. The border is not going to open, that's for sure. Obviously, there's been a lot of rumors going around and circling around, and oh, they're going to open it right now, they're going to open it tomorrow, which had people like really confused. It was one of the main problems. But for me, I saw the big picture, and I knew I would never get to anywhere through that gate. Never. Then I started looking around, focusing on different things. What can I do? What can I do? And then I was in the food line, in the food queue, and waiting for my sandwich. Obviously, 15,000 people. Just imagine the whole thing, queuing up to get a sandwich, an egg sandwich. It was actually pretty dry. It didn't have tomato in it. It was just the eggs. Honestly, you would eat that for breakfast, lunch, the whole thing. Just an egg sandwich. Obvious, which, I mean, it's good, but you get me. Yeah. Then obviously one day I was queuing up. After I waited for about 2 hours, and there was 4 people ahead of me to get the sandwich. And then there was two journalists on my left. And I heard them talking about just projects and documentaries and stuff like that. Then I hear her saying that she's looking for a translator, for someone to speak English and Arabic. So I kind of raised my hand and I was like, hey, whatever. And then we met, and then I jumped out of the queue. I was like, I can help you out. I didn't even get my sandwich. My head was in a different place. Don't even know what happened. Don't even why I made that move. I just got out of the queue and started helping her around, and I started translating for her. Didn't even know that was a job you can get paid for in the first place. I started working for her. She did offer money. I rejected it because it's basically what we do back home. We don't like that. It's a favor. Like, we didn't even agree for money and stuff like that. So she offered me money. She offered me food. I took the food. I didn't take the money, and then worked with her again. Also no money. Then she introduced me to Times Magazine, and that's when they offered me like actual money, and they wouldn't even accept my rejection anymore. They were like, if you need to work with us, you gotta take that money. It'll be considered like a black market. I don't know whatever, but it needs to be a contract and all that stuff. I did that. I did agree to that. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take it, man, no problem. So they started paying me. did Times Magazine. Then from Times Magazine, obviously, it kind of stretched out to Channel 4. I worked for Channel 4, This American Life Radio, HBO, pretty much all the media outlets out there, the main ones. And then, yeah, I started just like saving money and just putting it safe in here. Yeah, and that's where I realized that I could potentially change my whole destination, my whole future, my whole destiny. It's just like papers. You get it? It's just paper. It'll change your whole life for the future.
Because at that point you're looking around and everybody else is stuck there, and what's the next step? Where am I going? How am I going to do that?
100%.
So then what were the things that you had to do to get from there to then get here?
Yes. Basically, the point where I stopped earning money, I was like, that's it. Like, that's enough. Don't get greedy over here, because you need to get that fake passport and leave the country as soon as possible. Which was aligned perfectly with the camp shutting down, actually. It's been sealed off, the whole thing. Because in the first place, it was an emergency camp. Because of the numbers were building up, they created that camp. But it hasn't been there before. It hadn't been there before. So that was my perfect point to stop earning money and just take a move, take an action. And I went back to Athens, looked for a smuggler that can get me to the UK, and then that was it. I paid him 6,500 euros, because I was earning euros in there. Paid the money. Obviously, you don't know if you're gonna get there. You don't know if he's gonna take the money. Just gonna have to follow your instinct, basically. Yeah, took the money. He flew me with like a first class, obviously, from Greece to Belgium, from Belgium to Spain, from Spain to the UK, to Scotland. I arrived to Scotland. It was an easy flight. It was just transit, like from airport to another, and then I got to the UK, and that's how I got here.
So you'd chosen the UK because?
Obviously, because I speak English, because of the language, plus because of the country history. Come on, you can't deny it. It's if not, it's one of the most strongest countries in the world, if not. It always goes along with America.
Currently.
I mean, in my head it is at least.
So what were your expectations of apart from that, what were your expectations of life in the UK, and how is that compared to the reality of being here?
I think it's even better than when I imagined it in my head. I think you got to understand that I come from a total different background. If I see any European country, it'll still be better than where I come from. We do have great things, but pros and cons to everything. But I mean, for my career path, because I studied design and spatial design and fashion, retail, all that stuff. It's the UK, France. They always like those design schools, the best design schools in the world, and New York as well.
Italy's going to be really angry with you. Just letting you know, everybody in Italy is going to be furious.
Sorry about that. Sorry about it.
Savannah is raging right now.
What can I say? That's the process that went through my head. I can't change it now.
So it's better here that it is even better than you were expecting.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm really glad to hear that.
Better money as well. I mean, yeah, all around. I guess is definitely better. And plus, it's not just the country. Like, if the country's good, then you're gonna be good. It's the actions you put in those. You put when you actually get there. It's how you carry yourself out. You can. I made it in a camp in the middle of nowhere. I made about 13,500 euros. I would never make that amount of money in 6 months. Forgot to say that I stayed there for 6 months making that money. Like, I would never even that was my first time earning European currency,
Yeah.
because before that it's just Syrian lira. Yeah, obviously, you can make it anywhere you want if you put your mind to it. As cliche as it may sound, but that's the case for me. That was the case for me. And
So you're clearly like really creative, very driven, um, and intelligent. So what are your ambitions in the UK? What are the things that you're wanting to achieve with your life? I mean, just this is the question for everybody, isn't it? What do I want to do with my life? So,
yeah,
what are the things that you want to achieve for yourself?
I think that the answer to that question will be split into two parts. First part, which is to that's the shady part of being a refugee, I guess, is because you're automatically less than everyone else. So the first part of the answer will be to be like someone, like anyone else, which inclines having my family here, which inclines not being stereotyped, which inclines, it's just a lot of little things. No one would actually think about it unless you are a refugee. Just the way we're being looked at on the CVs is always. I've never submitted my CV online for that reason. Just for that word, Syrian. Just for that. So I would always present myself physically. I would always knock the door and try to earn my stripes. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that is definitely a thing anyway in the UK. The unconscious bias. There's studies coming out of people's ears of if you have a British, in inverted commas, name, then you are more likely than somebody who has a non-British name to be
Yeah.
just get your foot through the door. So I think you're really smart
I'm
doing
trying.
that. I mean,
I'm
other
trying my best. I'm
yeah,
trying. You
other things
gotta find your way around it.
yeah.
It's really tricky.
What
And
a lot
I
of people
really,
have been
yeah.
saying to me that they do recently is like if they have a middle name that's like James or Richard or Duncan, then they use that as their first name on their CV. And
Uh-huh.
then when they get there, then they say, yeah, I just use that,
Just the
because
name. It's my
exactly.
nickname.
That's my nickname. Like my brother, actually, his real name is Robert. That's his first name,
Uh-huh.
but he goes by Reese and always has. But it is a thing actually that happens in the UK. People do switch around those names anyway. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that might help a little.
Thank you. I'll keep it up here.
There's that little bit for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So what is it that you want to be able to I mean basically what we're talking about is citizenship, isn't it? That's really what we're talking about. Is
Yeah,
being able
I
to
will get. I did the test though. I did the life in the UK test.
yeah.
Just for the sake of doing it. I wanted to keep it in my pocket, even ahead of time because I've done it. I won't be able to apply for the citizenship until I think another 1.5 years. That'll be it. But I just did it during the pandemic,
Right.
because a lot of time spent at home. So I was like,
Yeah.
why not? Might as well.
The funny
Yeah,
thing with that
I
test is a lot of UK people fail it.
mean,
For real. They did a
it's a
poll
tricky one.
and a lot of UK people couldn't answer the questions, it's one of those
It's a tricky one. It's a tricky
very
one. It was
strange
pretty quick. It was
circumstances.
really, yeah, it was pretty quick. I mean, we got a lot of time on our hands
Yeah.
during the pandemic, so I was like, just might as well just do
Yeah.
it.
Try it out.
And yeah, but the second part, to just brush over it quickly. It'll be obviously being well known in my field, which is the spatial design or the marketing part. So obviously everyone wants to be known as the guy in that field. So yeah, so I that's obviously my ambition, because with that comes along money, comes along and then with money you can you can do pretty much everything. You can get access to a lot of things as well. But the only thing that I wouldn't be able to get, which actually brings me to the point, to your project, you guys, is bringing my family here. That's the point. Like money can't do, in my case, it can't do that. It's just crazy. Like not having a family here and seeing what you guys are doing. It's a big deal. I had a conversation with Richard, and he was like just saying it as if he was just working on a side project. In my head, dude, you got no idea. Like, you're changing people's lives. You're skipping all the psychological changes that someone could go through during that journey. The risk, even just the risk on itself, like that is everyone's dream to kind of avoid. You see that the call, the whole thing. He's just like, oh, I'm just working on this project. I'd like your help with an interview. I'm like, dang, obviously, I'm hell yeah, I'm here. I'm here
Well,
always.
that's actually a really big part of why it's so important hearing. I mean, apart from the fact that you're incredibly articulate, you are very eloquent when you're speaking. It's very clear, um, you've kind of condensed these what must have been enormously traumatic experiences into, I did this thing and then I jumped in this boat and then I went across here and I spent 6 months living in this camp just eating egg sandwich every day. You kind of condensed it into this, oh well, it was just something that I had to do. And and actually, you talking about that there, that's the kind of meat and bones of this, is that yes, this should be changing those experiences, and we're able to. That's the thing. We are, as a country, we're in an incredibly privileged position where there is more than enough space in this country
Yeah.
to bring people here and stop them from living lives like that. You touched a little bit on people's reactions to you as a refugee. Have you faced much discrimination because of that? I just, whatever you're comfortable talking about and telling me about that, I'm just interested to see how the interactions have been with the UK public.
Now, I'm gonna be 100% honest here. I don't want to get dramatic or anything. I haven't faced anything intense, but I have sensed it. Like, I get it. I get the sense of it. Obviously, a lot of other people have faced intense cases, but in my case, especially girls, I think Muslim girls specifically, because of the hijab and all that, the headscarf. But for me, as a young guy, plus I might not look that much of an Arab guy as well, like that. So that can get me through stuff sometimes. I'm not that dark as well. So I'm kind of like a light white or whatever, tan. But yeah, so that it really, like, all these silly things really just play a part in how you're being perceived. It's just, yeah, I mean, I think mainly in work, if you want to apply for things, when you apply for very sensitive positions or leadership positions, management positions, I don't think here you'll get trusted. Like, they wouldn't trust you basically to handle that because of the background. Like, he comes from Syria. What's there? What background is there? There's nothing in Syria. What knowledge would he have if he comes from Syria? Like, funny enough, I actually obtained the first in my class, like one of the best projects on the course. So like, that has nothing to do with anything, because I wouldn't say I had knowledge back home in Syria. I honestly learned everything in the UK. But yeah, when you learn, I was able to learn across 3 years. That was good enough for me to get a decent job, which I just got recently. And yeah, I mean, thank you. And to graduate, obtaining first, that's a big deal. I've never gotten an A grade before back home in Syria. Like, to obtain it here in English as well.
Yeah, I didn't get a first.
I mean, first is not everything.
I worked really hard and I did not get a first.
It was a big difference, but it's not everything. Yeah, it was just for my ego.
I would have loved it. But no,
you are getting the first right now, which is what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I spent a bit too much time partying to get a first. I worked hard, but I also partied very hard.
Well done. Well done.
You talked a little bit about how the difficulties of personal and family life, that they're not able to be here. So what are the things? It's a huge change, moving from one country to another anyway. So what are the things that you miss the most about being at home?
Well, just to throw it out there, obviously, I don't know if I mentioned it. I have a brother who I like, a little baby brother who I haven't met. We're five siblings. So like me, I'm the sixth. Uh, so my mom had him while I was on the border.
Mm-hmm.
So that baby, I was there when she was pregnant, but obviously I wasn't there when he was born. So that, I think that was the hardest thing, because I've been there as a kid and I've been there as a teenager, and then I left when I was a teenager. I know the situation back there, and I wouldn't want him to grow. And I'm just like, my head is always in there with him. Like, how is he doing, and what's happening? Plus, like when I video chat with him, he doesn't know that I'm his brother. He doesn't even he doesn't recognize. He doesn't even know what internet is. Like he might think I'm just a character who lives in the phone or something. Like it's just crazy. So that comes like a first priority, just like not being able to, because I'm the oldest. So
Yeah.
I was taking care of pretty much all of my siblings. So yeah, just not being there beside him, it brings a little cup and deep down. Obviously, then comes like my mom and my dad, my mentors, both of them mentors, and I think also second priority like comes every time. Well, it's just a lot of things. I don't know where to start. I think like what scares me the most, I think my biggest fear is when I recognized over the years during the period of being in the UK, is the concept of time. It's scary. It's really scary. And each person interprets it however it means something different for you than it means something different for me. It's totally, and it's a scary thing. Like, so the concept of time, like knowing that time is passing, no matter, you can never stop it. And it's just passing. And plus, in my case, I can't change it. I can't change the fact that my parents are in Syria. They would really love to come to UK, but it's impossible. I tried many times to get them here through the parliament, through Oxfam schemes, through a lot of things. It's just impossible. I've really put a lot of effort into that, and it wouldn't happen. Just like seeing him when I video chat with him, you can see like the what's it called, wrinkles coming along on their faces. You can feel the gray hair, and I'm like, whoa, like that really scares me. They're just growing up away from, like, it's a big deal. It really is a big deal, and it scares me a lot. And just like I've spent, I think, my most surreal moments away from them. For example, when I graduated, obtained the first, that's a moment where your parents would like to be in your graduation ceremony, or just to be there to hug you out. I don't know, anything to celebrate together. Didn't have the chance to do that. Or when you get married, which I'm not, but that's the second a moment a parent would be proud of you, and would be, it's essential to their presence to be there. So like, yeah, now it's out of my head. I know it's just not going to happen. I'm trying to focus on the things that I could change, rather than the things that are not tangible to me. Mm-hmm. So the only thing I could change by being here is being successful. Basically, that'll bring some happiness for them. But other than that, I honestly cannot change anything in this game. I try to see the cup half full, but it's really hard. And I've never actually talked about this before, like that deep. I've never actually expressed my feelings in that area. But yeah, that does cut deep down. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm really grateful that you felt like you could share that with me. Is there anything that you would like to say to anybody who is listening about how important the work that Bermondsey welcomes refugees is, and how important our responsibility as a country is towards refugees? That's my question, really, is not so much about they should get it, but what is it that they're not getting? Because there is a massive difference between migrants and asylum seekers. And are you able to articulate that for me?
Well, I just don't know where to start from. I know for sure, because I know for sure, like, because I am a refugee, I know for sure how important it is and how essential it is to have your family around. Let alone just your reflection of actions that will be in that country to blossom and to elevate its reputation and on every single scale, economically or just on every single scale. When you're comfortable, and family is essential. We're born with our families. It's essential to have us together. And when you start separating people around, that's the people just go mad. Obviously, people are going mad with their families. How about like having them away from each other? Depression cases will rise. Obviously, people will get lost, and it's really hard. Even I was like, okay, I'm positive and everything. It sounds like it, but I do have like some dark moments, obviously here and there, and I consider myself like fully positive. And still, so, and how about people who are not half as positive? That'd be like dangerous for them. Um, it's just like it's. I think it's part of being human, to be honest. If we start empathizing with everything, I think that's the main reason why everything's so messed up right now nowadays across everything. It's just there's no empathy. If you put yourself in my shoes, that'll change a lot of things. If I put myself in your shoes, obviously that'll change a lot of things as well. And
You have really sore calves. I honestly, that was exactly what it was for me. That you hit the nail right on the head there. There is,
yeah,
if we can have more empathy in the world with each other, then actually we'll be able to just understand and work out how do we make the world better for each other? How do we make everything just better for each other?
hmm.
And that is rooted in empathy. It has been such a joy talking with you today, and
Oh, absolutely.
I
Thank
could
you.
sit and listen to you all day because you're so incredibly interesting,
Thank you.
and and unbelievably articulate. I don't know many people who can speak as eloquently as you do.
I appreciate you.
Um,
Appreciate your saying
so
that.
thank you so very much for
Thank you.
talking to me.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting you. It was a pleasure jumping on this great opportunity to kind of share a side that I've never shared before, my story. And it's absolutely commendable what you guys are doing. Best of luck with the project. And thank you for having me, I guess. Thank you.